Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, the review guy, reviewing music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one I'm going to be covering the new Acid Mammoth record entitled Under Acid Hoof. So this is a record that I was going to review back when it released, and I kept beating around the bush, I kept getting occupied by other releases, and I finally decided that I was going to talk a little bit about it. Not because it's a momentous release or anything, but just because I think it does showcase a talking point that should be had regarding a lot of bands in this genre. So these guys are an Athens, Greece, doom metal and stoner metal band, and right off the bat, anyone that is familiar with those genres are going to know that Greece particularly is a hotbed for doom metal, stoner metal, and heavy metal traditionalist revival bands. Not to mention this band features a son and his father, and in my opinion that is the most badass metal thing that I've ever heard in my life. They released their self-titled album, their debut, released back in 2017. I just thought it was okay. I thought the production was a little bit muddied, too muddied for its own good, and didn't really do that much justice to the guitar and bass. Now, with that being said, I think this record is a total improvement. Everything sounds distorted and fuzzy and crusted. Look, in any genre, there is always going to be figurehead bands that inspire hundreds, if not thousands of bands that come after them to not only take influence from their style, but sometimes copy their style. They influence bands of many different genres to incorporate the elements that made them popular, or generally just innovated their own genre, because when you have a band that does do something so new, so fresh, obviously people are going to want to use that for artistic influence and artistic inspiration. But from every single genre, I don't think I've ever seen a band have as much influence on a certain genre as Black Sabbath did for doom metal and stoner metal. Right off the bat, you can hear Ozzy's influence from the vocals bleed through instantly. It doesn't take long. Anyone that's heard any Black Sabbath will hear that right away. And it's nothing about this band, it's nothing that I'm going to rag on them or deduct points from. Black Sabbath has done this to a lot of bands. Hell, I even remember reading something about Acid Mammoth a while back that it was formed with Black Sabbath in mind. Even down to some of the heavy psych sounds and how some of these distorted riffs just roll out with these vocals that have this weird echo effect that does sound very vintage, that does sound like a lot of the way that Ozzy's vocals were mixed in the 70s and the 80s. If you took some of these instrumentals, ripped the vocals out, and put them in front of me, it would be hard for me to not discern that these weren't some demos from early Black Sabbath, but for the fact that the production is a lot crisper. Now, with that being said, obviously they're influenced by Black Sabbath, so that has to be taken into account. It's something I had to at least cover a little bit. But for the most part, I enjoy this record. I actually really enjoy this record. I mean, even a track like Tree of Woe, which finds itself going over the 9-minute mark, I really love this track, probably my favorite track on the whole record, especially the 4 to 6 minute mark. I love how the riffs go. It just sounds demented, it sounds devilish, it incorporates almost this classic heavy metal style but played in a doom metal way. It's so fuzzed out. The distortion on these riffs are palpable. It just feels so intense. And yes, even though this track and most of the tracks on here take a lot of influence from Ozzy Osbourne's vocal melodies and the way that he harmonized, I don't think it's too distracting, and I think the melodies on this track when it comes to the vocals are fantastic. They match the pitch, they match the tone, they match the resonance, they match the rolling effect, the downtrodden feeling of this instrumentation. Because even though it is quite sludgy and quite heavy, the whole album obviously takes on a very dreary and rather somber tone. These tracks go fairly long, and there were very few moments where I was just scratching my head saying, this sucks. Not to say that there aren't sections that feel a little bit derivative, but the production does enough to make sure that these tracks stay eventful, and considering that even though the tracks are long, it's only 5 tracks and it amounts to 35 minutes, they really get out of dodge before anything becomes too apparent or becomes too mundane in the way they're playing. It is very easy to forget how influenced they were by Black Sabbath, admittedly, and I think that's a very good thing, that even though they're wearing their artistic values on their sleeve, like their heart, I don't think it bleeds through to the point to where it's an unenjoyable album. It's quite enjoyable. For that, I'm going to be giving this album a 7 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new Acid Mammoth record, Under Acid Hoof? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss the record with you. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morse, the review guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.